Hello there. Welcome to another episode of the Cannabis Man podcast. Thank you for clicking on the show. I am Don Kleppen, and I've got another great episode for you this week, listener. I interviewed two people at one time. That's right. I've got two guests on today's show. They both work for Bedford Grow, which is a local Illinois cannabis company, and they're doing some really, really great work. You might remember Matt Ross from the first episode, director of cultivation there, and he said some interesting things about their standards of quality. And after I had a chance to try a lot of their products, most recently, their gummies won the High Times Cannabis Cup for Illinois, top edible statewide. So that's a huge thing. And every experience that I personally have had with their stuff, I just buy it and from the dispensaries, and it's really, really fresh pretty much every time. So I just kind of wanted to get a feel for others who work in the company and see what maybe they're doing that differentiates them from some of the other cannabis companies and why their stuff seems to be reliably high quality pretty much across the board. So I got some great perspective from them. They have some interesting things to say about Bedford Grow's process. Of course, I've got the news joint wrap for you with Illinois news stories and events regarding cannabis, and I'll share my strain of the week, which is a real tasty batch this week myself. And I've got some other news topics to bring to your attention that I thought were worth pointing out as well. Before I play the open and get into the show properly here, I would like to ask a favor, if you could. If you're listening to this show, right now, if you're listening on Spotify, please scroll to the top of the show page and click that star icon. You can see a spot where there's a star listed. It might say 5 next to it, or it might say rate the show, but you click on that and it's an opportunity to rate this program, this podcast. Go ahead. I don't care if it's 1 star, 5 stars, whatever you think of what I'm doing here. But if you could, I'd really love to see some ratings come up on the Spotify app. Most of the reviews and the ratings I've gotten thus far have just been on other apps, and I was noticing that Spotify is a little bit iffy. So if you're using that, I just figured I'd throw that out there and ask for your help if you could. And with that, let's get into the 29th episode of the Cannabis Man podcast. Whenever you're listening to this episode, I hope that you're able to carve some time out of your day just for yourself. It's really, really important for all of us, I think. Life is busy. We all have obligations. We all have things that we want to do, ambitions and such, but it is so, so important to just take a moment sometimes in between the busyness of it all, in between the tasks that are filling up all of our days. Take a few moments and breathe and focus on the beauty of life. No matter what is getting you down, no matter what problems or seemingly insurmountable obstacles you're facing, we're all here. Still, we have another chance. Every day that we wake up, wherever you are on this planet, every day that we wake up is another opportunity, is another chance for anything. As we get older, sometimes it feels like you're trapped and life just kind of, every choice you make, a door closes, and pretty soon you're just facing a straight line out into the future. And it can feel like that, but that's not the case. Life is this giant bowl of possibilities. It's just this massive forest where you never know who you're going to meet on a given day. You never know what's going to happen. And on any given day, in one moment, your whole life can change, for the better or worse, admittedly. But that possibility, that potential of every moment in every day, just take a moment and appreciate that we are in the game, that we get to keep playing. And it's not easy, I think, to keep that perspective all the time. Life can be really, really hard. Just take a moment and appreciate that we're all still in the game. And every single day that you wake up is filled with chances, opportunities, and possibilities that could completely change the rest of your life at any time. Anyway, I was just kind of thinking about that over this past weekend, and I guess I just wanted to share that with you. I'm coming to you live on Wednesday morning, November 2nd, 2022, from the unsponsored Cannabis Man home studio. Hint, hint, wink, wink. The coffee's pretty basic. This is just some Folgers that my fiance Gretchen picked up from Aldi, our local Aldi here in Edgewater. We love that place, and I love starting my days with cannabis and coffee. I just think it puts me on a nice wavelength for the rest of the day, and it gives me some creative energy and just kind of, I like the place that it puts me in, the sort of vibe that it gives me. And the strain of the week, the strain of cannabis that I have been vibing on this week is Durban Skittles. I say Skittles because this is it starts and ends with the letter Z, not S, and it's a cross between Durban Poison and Skittles, and it's an energizing sativa dominant strain. If you've listened to the show before, you know that sativa is my preference in terms of cannabis, kind of along the same lines as combining cannabis and coffee. I just prefer to kind of do things throughout my day. I like to utilize cannabis at different points of the day, and sativas and more energizing strains lend themselves to productivity. They help me get things done, as opposed to the more indica dominant cannabis strains where they can make you glued to the couch and can kind of just take you out of it, and maybe it's a nice wind down at the end of the day. Indicas have their place, don't get me wrong, and I've talked before about the oversimplification of just categorizing cannabis in sativas and indicas. I won't rehash that debate right now, but because we're still categorizing things in indicas and sativas, I'll still talk about them that way. But on the same note, this Durban Skittles features a strong lemon profile. This is one of those fruity kind of, it's described as having almost a sweet tart fruitiness, and the lemon really comes through on the smell and the taste of Durban Skittles. This particular strain is about 25-26% THC. That's what's advertised on the package. This was harvested late in July, and it was packaged at the end of August. And I picked up a pack of 5 of these dog walkers from the Wrigleyville Sunnyside over the weekend. Anyone who's listened to the show before knows that that's my local dispensary that I get to regularly. And I don't think I've mentioned these before, but these packs of 5 dog walkers, they're these little mini joints. They're not even half a gram a piece. They're like 0.25 or 0.3 grams in these little joints. And I love these dog walkers. I just think that they're so perfect. You get a pack of 5 for sometimes $25 or $30, and they're excellent. They'll get you through the week. They are, if you want to take a little walk outside, kind of like I was talking about before, these guys, it's literally just, especially if you pass it between another person and yourself, it's only a few hits, but these things are, it's a little uplift. It's a tiny little reset, as opposed to a full gram joint, which is kind of, more of a lengthy experience, if you will, might be affected by that for a few hours. These little dog walkers are really just kind of a coffee break or like a short walk after lunch. It's just a refresher. And I enjoy these things very much, and I'm loving the Durban Skittles, the cross between Durban Poison and Skittles. I love the sativa feel. I love the lemon and the fruitiness in the flavor and the aroma of it, and it's just been a nice addition to my week. So cheers to you, and if you have an opportunity and if you haven't tried Durban Skittles, highly recommend them. And if you want to grab a pack of 5 of these short dog walkers of the Durban Skittles, I can't recommend that enough. Whoa. That was crazy. Had a little smoke kind of cling to the microphone there. I've got like a fuzzy cover on this shotgun mic that I use to record this, and the smoke really just kind of hung around it. That hasn't happened before. That was kind of interesting. Anyway, now that I'm fueled up, let's get into the News Joint Wrap. That's right, this is brought to you by IllinoisNewsJoint.com. Think of it as the joint you can hit for all your Illinois cannabis news and reviews. And I wanted to start with this. The Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation put out its inaugural annual report this week. So this is something it'll be doing every year going forward, but this was the first, and it highlights the strides that the organization has made, also explains what exactly it it does and what divisions make up that department. IDFPR employs hundreds of people who work to ensure the state's banks, financial institutions, and healthcare, occupational, and real estate pros are properly licensed and follow the acts and rules that regulate their professions. That would be the cannabis laws that are active in the state. IDFPR's purpose is to ensure strong consumer protections and promote licensed professions, industries, and financial organizations in every community across our incredible state. A couple items touted early in the report were the implementations of Illinois' medical and adult use cannabis programs. Obviously, we're years from those points, but because this is its inaugural report, I have no problem with them touting the success of those programs' implementation. They mentioned that in August 2013, Illinois became the 20th state to legalize medical cannabis with the Compassionate Use of Medical Cannabis Program Act signed into law. It also mentions that June 25, 2019, Governor Pritzker signed the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act, making Illinois the 11th state to legalize adult use cannabis. So that makes next year the 10-year anniversary of Illinois' medical cannabis program, and that's pretty exciting. They also mention IDFPR was created on July 1st of 2004 when the Office of Banks and Real Estate, the Department of Financial Institutions, Department of Insurance, and the Department of Professional Regulation consolidated into the new agency of the state, making it IDFPR. So this has actually been around for almost 20 years. In 2024, that'll officially be 20 years that IDFPR has been around. This organization is 20 years old just about. To me, I think that says something, that this organization's been around for 20 years, and I believe that they have consumer protections at their highest priority at that place, which means that they're looking out for us. And even though there may still be some shady doings, I believe that this kind of watchdog will eventually catch up with those bad actors. People, companies that right now you're thinking about, and I think of Verano when I say stuff like this. Companies that are engaging in shady practices like putting flour on dispensary shelves that is 6 months old, putting out shake that is like barely smokable, or putting weed on shelves that has mold in it, or that's just simply not up to EPA standards. This is the kind of group that you want to have in your state that's getting a legal adult rec market up and running. This is the kind of group that you want to have on the top of it. And I know there's plenty of people that love to complain about Illinois cannabis. They seem to kind of get off on that, to tell you the truth. And you know what? I'm not one of those people. I personally am optimistic about it. And as I've said on the show many times, I love living in a state where I have the freedom to go to a place, whether it's between work shifts, whether it's, after I get off of work or in the morning on a Friday before the weekend starts. The fact that I am not beholden to someone that I met at a party 5 years ago in order to get my medicine. The fact that I live in a state where I can go to a licensed dispensary and have some expectations, standards of quality that I know the products I buy will not dip below. I love that. It's a privilege. And I clearly can remember a time before that, and I know of some places in this world right now that have legal cannabis and were not able to sustain it beyond the black market, and so it's totally failed. And I don't wish that on Illinois. I want this to succeed. And so my stance continues to be support Illinois cannabis and believe that organizations like IDFPR have your best interests at heart. And as more licensed dispensers get their operations up and going, as more craft growers enter this space, prices will come down, and Illinois is going to have a sweet cannabis market. I just know it. Proper tent airflow is crucial for indoor growers. Now, this is sort of a note from Jason Brown of IllinoisNewsJoint.com. He talks about taking a break from documenting his entire grow, and he was just talking about reducing his plants to just a few from a larger number. And he talks about wanting to learn more from experienced growers, and he asked Fred Sanders, who's the manager at Blooms Brothers Hydro, which is in the Apple House in Terre Haute, Indiana. I'm actually going to interview Fred Sanders as well, and I'll get some of these grow tips on the podcast. You can listen for that episode in a few weeks. But Jason talked with him as well, and one of the things that he came away with is that proper tent airflow, which is crucial to small grow areas and can help prevent some of the worst pests from taking hold inside the room. Aphids, spider mites, and fungus gnats all thrive in stale, humid spaces. Aphids, Jason says, are by far his least favorite invader with an indoor grow. He says they can establish themselves in moments. Good sanitary practices, climate controls, and a really good intake air filter can go a long way toward preventing the pests. He mentions that spider mites prefer areas with calm, damp air to breed and feed, so good airflow and humidity controls, coupled with a strong IPM, take away those preferred conditions, which kind of discourages them from infesting. And if you have that good airflow circulation, as the air moves around the room, excess moisture from the top layer of soil evaporates, leaving fungus gnats and other soil-borne pests to find it much harder to take hold and grow in those spaces. So you can use a circulating fan to provide a physical stressor to the plants, encouraging growth of stronger stems and branches, as well as thicker cell walls, all of which are natural defenses against pests and disease. So this is a great tip, is just that circulation, that airflow. If you've got a tent or you're growing in a basement or some small room, wherever it is, if you have an indoor grow setup, Jason and Fred Sanders talking about the proper airflow circulation being huge to discourage pests from forming and to encourage stronger plant growth of the cell walls and the stems and the branches too. And an event coming up, Flower Ball, Cannabis Expo, and Fashion Show is on Saturday. The Illinois cannabis industry is kicking off a new season of indoor events starting this weekend into late winter. The first of those, it's the inaugural KVL International Flower Ball that is set for this Saturday, November 5th. KVL International Flower Ball is a cannabis expo, multiple immersive experiences there, followed by a fashion show co-hosted by Power 92.3's Money Meha and a DJ set by the legendary DJ Neffitz. Brands, operators, and cannabis fashion enthusiasts from across the U.S. and Canada will attend. The event also includes some merch, apparel, food trucks, full-scale fashion runway show production, after-party set by DJ Neffitz, and live performances by Vic Mensa and more. Cocktail hour is set for 6 to 7 p.m. Arrive before 7 because doors will close and entry will end at 7. The Vic Mensa live show starts at 10. The after-party runs until 12:30 a.m. You can purchase tickets as well as find out more information about that event and the other stories I mentioned about IDFPR, what they've got going on, as well as some indoor grow tips. You can get all of that at IllinoisNewsJoint.com. Listener, this interview is exciting for a few different reasons. One of which is that we have two guests joining us simultaneously here. Both of them work for a very high-quality local cannabis company here in Illinois, making pharmaceutical-grade products. I'm talking about Bedford Grow. You may remember I spoke with Bedford's Director of Cultivation, Matt Ross, at the beginning of the show for the first episode, and talked about some of their strains, and I have had a chance to try some of them since, and I'm very excited about what Bedford is doing in the Illinois area. Listener, please welcome from the sales department, Katarina Francesca, and from sales and the trim department, Rozzi Gonzalez. Welcome, both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Hi, yes, thank you for having us. A pleasure. We're excited to be here.
Right on. I'm excited to have you as well. So this is going to kind of go to both of you, I suppose, and you can just sort of answer one and then the next, but how did you become interested in cannabis, first of all?
Well, I'll start just because my story is a lot shorter than Rozzi's history, but to be honest, I got into it as a medical solution. I moved out to California many years ago and have been battling chronic migraines and turned to it to help with my migraines. Found it to be really effective and have been a consumer ever since.
Myself, Rozzi, it is a little bit of a longer story, but I grew up with a cannabis family, so it was really easy to kind of get into it. But it all started with being a hairdresser. I was allergic to the solutions, so I got a job at the first Cannabis Cup in Colorado, came back home to Chicago, sold everything, and started my career in cannabis.
Wow, that is interesting to hear for both of you, just to have had experience, it seems like, with cannabis before your professional careers in it. And for you, Katarina, obviously that was something that provided you relief in some area of your life and sounds like improved your quality of life.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, I think part of that is the reason that I was drawn to Bedford Grow as well, just because of their mindset, their approach, their mission was really all in line with kind of the things that I was looking for as a consumer. So to me, it was just like the perfect match.
Very nice. Cool. And that segues kind of into what I wanted to talk about next, Bedford Grow. How long have you both been working there?
Myself, Rozzi, I've been about 2 years, just a little over 2 years.
And actually, I'm a little bit on the younger side than her. I'm just 1 year with the company this past August. It's gone by so quickly, just totally amazing, super fun. And I'm just excited to keep going, to be honest.
Yeah, very cool. It sounds. Congrats to both of you for just being at this company as long as you have, and I'm excited for where it's going as well. What are some things? And I guess this will go to you, Rozzi. I guess just with your work in the trim department too. What are some things that you think Bedford does differently than some other cannabis companies, whether they be in Illinois or other states?
I'd have to say we really pride ourselves on a lot of our hand-done products. We still hand trim, hand pack, hand mix all of our edibles. So it's really nice to be able to see individually each and every single bud and it getting as much quality and care that it should.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I guess this will be for you, Katarina. What are some of the products at Bedford that you think consumers have responded to in a positive way?
Oh, yes, of course. I mean, I could give you a whole list going on for an hour about, our different products and their features. But, in particular, I'd have to highlight, I think, our flower and our edibles. We are the High Times Cannabis Cup Edible Champion in Illinois multiple years running, so we take great pride in that. We're thankful, but I feel like it just kind of speaks to itself just because, our edibles are great in the sense that, they don't have that cannabis taste. They're all straightforward, no added dyes, added ingredients, or extra preservatives or anything like that. It's truly, a fresh burst in the bite, which is great. And then also, our flower, like Rozzi was saying, we do everything by hand. And so, we really put the love and care and the effort from all the way to the beginning of the process when we're popping seed. We don't bring in any external clones. Everything is done on site, all the way through to packaging, which goes into our glass jars with the induction seal just to really preserve that freshness. Strain-wise, we've got lots of cool new things in the works. But in particular, out there right now, I gotta call attention to our Lou's Legacy strain, which is one of our feature strains. Has a really nice history with our company and our mission, which you guys can check out on our website. But it's a great strain, and it's specifically designed to alleviate, symptom relief. So that is popular among the medical community and even the recreational community, just because it's also a very nice high.
Nice. Lou's Legacy. I'll have to try that out then. This one, I guess for you, Rozzi, just what Katarina was saying about the hand trimming, as you mentioned before as well. But I'm fascinated about the whole process. I mean, what you just laid out, Katarina, what Bedford does, keeping every part of the process in-house, from the seed to the germination and then packaging. I would imagine that it probably increases the amount of time it takes in your operation to harvest, but I have to believe that it also is noticeable in the quality on the back end. Would you say that's accurate, Rozzi?
Absolutely. And I think that's what, sets us off from other companies, and our responses that we get from consumers is the quality of itself is from the very beginning, from the very first heart of the harvest that everybody is hands-on to, gets, very invasive, I guess, with the product to guarantee that our curing is then finalized even further. So they always kind of got the full procedure on backhand so that they know the quality starts from the second the plant gets cut down all the way down to the final trim. And really paying attention to that detail of the trim. We don't allow just fast trimming, so no shaving, no, real invasive on the trimming, but that, we handle it all the way through.
Wow, it sounds multi-step, but it also, like I said, I just, like anything else, I think that attention to detail, that extra effort, I'm sure that people are noticing it, and that's probably why Bedford is as popular as it has been. This could go to either one of you. I'm just curious, what's your opinion of the Illinois cannabis market at large? People have their different opinions about it, and mainly I'm looking at it in terms of the experience that Bedford's had. One of the things that has come up in conversations is sort of the high standards that Illinois places that all dispensaries and companies, cannabis producers, need to meet in order to get products onto store shelves. Is that something that you found restrictive, or is it something that you sort of welcome?
Well, on that side of things, we certainly welcome it. We love to know that everyone's being held accountable for what's inside their products and making sure that everybody's, rigorously testing their products, so that the consumers know that what they're putting in their bodies is a clean and pure product at the end of the day. So on that side of things, I think all the regulation is great, helping, provide safe medicine or, safe recreational items out there. But, kind of on the flip side, then you have the taxes and the purchaser tax in particular, which is based just on potency of what the consumer is picking up at any given time. And so I think with that, it brings its own challenges and maybe its own potential adaptations that'll be necessary down the line on that side of things. But also, education, I think, is really important. I know Rozzi can speak more to that.
Yeah, just trying to get education out to the consumers as it being such a new market. They see all this background of taxes and testing and things like that. But, as a company, trying to get more information out to the consumers itself on the basis line, I think is what really needs to be worked out with this cannabis market.
Right, and also just, kind of trying to change the narrative, getting rid of that stigma and taboo that's been associated with cannabis for so long, and really kind of bring it to the forefront as something, everyday, reliable product that's in a lot of people's lives that, really doesn't need to be othered because, it is not this harmful, depiction that you see sometimes online and in the media.
Of course, totally, and I'm glad you said that. I'm right there with you. It's one of the major reasons that I started the show is because I felt just simply that the conversation around cannabis has been wrong for so long. It's something I refer to it as a manufactured misconception from back in the 1900s. Henry Anslinger, the first sort of group that became the DEA and all that stuff, and all the reefer madness garbage that's just sort of baked into even the word marijuana, which is kind of why I mostly stick to cannabis just when I have the discussion, because I think that it's a more neutral word just in marketing and branding, as I'm sure Katarina, all that baggage wrapped up in the one word marijuana, which is wasn't even real but just cooked up for this purpose. I think ditching that and getting beyond it is sort of a big part, I think, of being able to normalize this and have it a part of society the way that alcohol or coffee or anything else that we utilize to get through our day and improve our quality of life. No?
Exactly. And let's be honest. Cannabis is a lot safer than your average opioid that's out over the counter or in your pharmacy. So,
Absolutely. That's I had a great episode recently. If anyone hasn't heard it, it was Dr. Ari Grice, pain management physician with the Philadelphia Eagles. He did a study about medical cannabis and its viability as an alternative for prescribed opioids. And it is incredibly viable. Spoiler alert. It is one of the best things that's out there that could offer an alternative option for people who've been prescribed opioids for chronic pain and other things like that. So cannabis is exciting for so many reasons, not the least of which medically. What are some products at Bedford that Bedford Grow that are coming down in the future, maybe, or things that you guys are working on? I don't know if you'll know anything about this, Rozzi, or you, Katarina, but any products that maybe people can get excited about aside from the ones that are already available?
So our new genetics, we've been working for the past year of doing in-house breeding and pheno hunting. So it's been a great success. It's been a long journey because we did do quite a bit all at once. But to, see the new strains coming out, you've got Wild Berry Breath, Wrecking Ball, Candy Coast, Lake Effect, Serious Bees coming out. So we really got some great in-house genetics that have just spiraled out of control in amazing ways. So we're really excited to be able to offer new stuff to people and see, new genetics coming out on the line.
That's awesome. That is very exciting. And from your perspective, in terms of maybe goals for the company, or maybe areas that you're excited about in terms of growth or engagement with the Illinois market and U.S. at large, Katarina, what does the future look like at Bedford for you?
I think this question would be taken in a lot of different ways. Everything.
Yeah, it was pretty broad, admittedly.
I know, so I'm going to try and cover a couple things. But, everything from the new products we have coming down the pipeline, like Rozzi was talking about, we have lots of new genetics, but we're also working on new chocolate flavors, new gummy flavors, new SKUs from extractions, and, new textures from our extraction lab. So in that sense, that's exciting and kind of leading me into, what to expect from BG in the market as well, in just the sense of expanding the cannabis product line just in general. I mean, I think we've seen that really a lot in the past 6 months alone within Illinois, different cultivators coming out with different products, different textures, different items that maybe we haven't seen before in the cannabis industry. So we hope to be a part of that journey and contribute our own inventions as well, which is really exciting to see, just because I feel like there is so much creativity in this industry, and it's fun, and I feel like people who love it really, have that passion. But also, we would really love to see a lot more like-minded companies out there. We are a small, independent, female-owned, family, locally owned business. And so, with the legalization of some new dispensary licenses and craft grow licenses, it's just really exciting to see and be able to support other small businesses in the industry, and know that, we are making an impact, we are producing quality products, and, just happy to be a part of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's no kind of excitement quite like that I've experienced anyway, the excitement currently in and around the cannabis industry. I just think that people are ready for the change, people are excited about it, whether, you're someone who is very familiar with cannabis, I think, and has had experience with it from your own life leading up to now, or even just people who, have been maybe neutral about it, didn't have their own experience, but now that it's becoming legalized and normalized, they're a little bit more curious or interested and excited, as I think we all should be, about the future of where this is headed. Rozzi Gonzalez and Katarina Francesca of Bedford Grow, thank you so much for joining the show and talking a little about what you guys are working on at Bedford. I'd like to end these with a sort of quick hits. It's going to be, again, interesting with the two of you, but I just kind of like to do some rapid fire preference, yes or no questions, nothing too crazy. Are you guys game for this?
Sure.
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. Quick hit number one, morning bird or night owl? Which are you?
Me, I'm a night owl for sure.
I'm actually a daytime, 4:30 a.m. I'm up and ready to go.
Wow, yeah, early bird right there for sure. But cool, got one of each on that answer. Favorite cuisine, if it's your birthday, special occasion, is there a restaurant or a meal that you're definitely looking for?
Oh, I love Japanese food, sushi in particular. Definitely my go-to personally.
Nice.
Rozzi?
I'd have to say meats. Fogo de Chao. Fogo de Chao is my go-to. It's got all the meats.
Yes, I'm a proponent of both of those answers. Sushi, had it yesterday, had it last night, and Fogo is one of my hot spots for sure. If I'm birthday or a special occasion, I love Fogo. Right there with you. Movies or TV? What are you watching right now?
For me, I'm a big Marvel fan, so definitely all the Marvel movies, the new TV shows coming out with this next phase, I'm super stoked for, as I'm sure a lot of people are, hopefully. But yeah, that's what I've been watching lately.
And I can hit just about anything, so it's easy.
Nice. Very cool. One of the questions I like to ask, drug of choice, meaning what's your sort of daily go-to? Are you coffee drinker, tea drinker? Do you have beer or wine with dinner? What do you like?
It is coffee and cannabis all day.
I am a green tea drinker. I love some green tea. Coffee's great, but I don't know. I just like the flavor of green tea.
Sure. And hey, green tea is healthy. It's good to have. I'll usually have some of that sometimes in the afternoon, but Rozzi, right there with you on the coffee and cannabis. That is pretty much my start to every day. Gotta love that. And final quick hit here for you guys. I guess we'll just end on sports teams. Do you watch sports? Any teams that you really root for during the season?
I'd have to say I'm not really a sports fan. And having Colorado under my belt for the last few years, coming back, it's orange and blue, both ways.
Right on.
For me, I also am not super into sports, but I gotta support my local teams. I actually am a pretty big Blackhawks fan. But, also got to respect my Bulls, of course.
Always got to go old school.
Got to respect the city,
Absolutely. Yeah, go Blackhawks, go Bulls. Right there with you on that one. Well, again, thank you so much. That's the quick hits, and that is the interview with Katarina Francesca and Rozzi Gonzalez of Bedford Grow. Thank you both so much for jumping on the show today and just kind of sharing some of your journey and what's coming down the pipe. I think people should be excited.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was such an honor, such a pleasure, and we just hope everyone's having a great day.
And big fan too, by the way. I love your podcast. It's a great listen.
Oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And hopefully have you two on again in the future.
We would love that.
Thank you.
And there you have it. I'd like to thank my guests one more time, Katarina Francesca and Rozzi Gonzalez of Bedford Grow. How about that Bedford Grow? They've really got some exciting stuff. And winning the Illinois High Times Cannabis Cup edibles, they're for their gummies. And as I've mentioned, their flower is just regularly, for me, in my experience personally here, always fresh. I've never cracked a seal on a Bedford jar and felt anything less than, sticky, smelling really strong and fresh. It's high quality stuff, and as you heard from Rozzi and Katarina there, the process that Bedford uses, their commitment to in-house sort of closed circuit from seed to shipping out to dispensaries, how they control all of that and they keep it in-house, and how they're really supporting Illinois businesses and just kind of keeping that ecosystem closed off. It really comes through in the quality of their products, and I just encourage everybody, if you haven't had a chance to try their stuff, get out there and check it out. Their products and which dispensaries you can find them at, you can find those at bedfordgrow.com. And before I let you go this week, listener, there was a news story that came across my feed that I thought you'd find interesting. This is from CBS News. It was published by Christopher, with a K, J. Brooks, on October 25th. It says the headline reads, "Marijuana company sued for not making customers high enough." A California cannabis company is being sued by two local customers for allegedly lying about the potency of its products. I'm not going to go through the whole article here, but I'll give you a little snapshot, and I'll share the link to it on the show social media pages at C-Man Podcast. You can look for that later. Jasper Centino of Long Beach and Blake Wilson of Fresno, they filed a lawsuit in state court last week accusing Dreamfields Brands of false advertising, intentional misrepresentation, and unjust enrichment, among other charges. And here comes the key point. At issue in this case is how much tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC. Did you know that's what THC stood for? I did, and I always struggle to say that word. So the fact that I just went through that, and trust me, I did not edit mistakes out. That was a real first-time take on that word. So I'm a little pleased with that, especially after hitting that Durban Skittles earlier. I'm happy with myself there. Anyway, at issue is how much THC is contained in Dreamfields Jeter pre-roll products. THC, as you know, is the chemical in cannabis that gives users a high. It's the narcotic part. Dreamfields markets its products as having higher than average levels of THC, but an independent lab test found the pre-rolls do not have a higher concentration of the chemical. That is according to lawyers for Centino and Wilson. In one instance, a Jeter product labeled as having a THC content of 46% was found to contain between 23 and 27%. So that's all I'm going to read there. And again, this is according to the lawsuit. So this is going to go to court, and we'll see what the judge's ruling is when this lawsuit, has its day. Again, I'll share it on the show pages. You can read the rest of it for yourself and kind of decide what you think about it. But the reason that I thought this was important to bring up is because I have had two episodes that kind of touch on these topics. One where I interviewed Matt Wall from the UK, who did the fMRI study on effects of THC and CBD on the human brain. And what Matt Wall found out was that CBD really blunts a lot of the negative effects of THC. Some of the damage that THC can do, and believe me, I know there are people screaming, THC, it doesn't do damage, whatever. We have not done enough sanctioned studies to know definitively what the effects on our brain by cannabis really truly are. And so, if you haven't heard the Matt Wall episode, I highly encourage you to check that out. But he did the study, and I asked him different questions about what they found. But the headline of his study was that CBD basically protects our brains from the bad parts of THC. And the other episode that I want to mention is the THC inflation episode that I did. It was a short one, but I wanted to talk about that because there was an article that highlighted that since different legal markets instituted a policy that allows companies to charge a premium for higher potency THC products, this has led to THC inflation, which is the practice of displaying higher THC percentages than the products actually have. And the reason that the companies would do this is to charge the premiums that they're allowed to charge for higher potency THC products. So what this lawsuit is alleging is that this company, Dreamfields, and their brands lied about the THC percentages in their products. And they did so to ratchet up their profits by being able to charge consumers the premium for a 47% THC product. And the reason that the premiums are allowed to be leveled against consumers is, I believe, out of an effort to protect them from what we're finding out might be some negative effects of high potency THC. When state governments put out the dictum that high-potency THC products could be taxed at higher rates, these companies said, great, we'll slap higher numbers on our labels, higher percentages of THC, and then we can charge much more money for these products. And now, so that's what I was talking about in the THC Shorty episode, now we have a lawsuit, the first one that I'm aware of. And if you're aware of any more, or again, if you want to, have any thoughts about this, click on the question or comment link in the show description notes and let me know what you think. But this, as far as I know, is the first lawsuit anywhere in the country where people are going to court and trying to sue a company for lying about their posted THC percentages. And everyone in Illinois should be paying attention to this, because if this goes to court and the judge rules in favor of these two guys, Centino and Wilson, and you have gotten some bad product from certain companies that might be operating in Illinois, some companies that you were sure were lying about the THC, that's the THC percentages that are posted on the labels of products. If you've gotten an Illinois cannabis product that you were sure was a lower percentage of THC than what they posted, this lawsuit should be very interesting to you, because if this is successful, you better believe that there are going to be others that follow suit. And I'm willing to bet that there will be some here in Illinois. And if enough people have gotten, affected by this, might be a class action suit, and there might be some money coming. So this is something to watch, this lawsuit out in California against Dreamfields. So look for that article on the show pages at C-Man Podcast and just think about this whole issue, the notion of companies posting higher THC rates on their products, the THC inflation, and the fact that there is now a lawsuit moving forward. These things tend to take some time. It's probably going to be a couple of years before we actually hear anything in terms of like a final ruling. But this is the first step, and this is something that should be exciting, or at least perk the ears up of anybody who has bought legal cannabis in an adult use capacity, certainly here in Illinois, but really any state. This is something to watch for sure. And that's all I've got for you this week. Tune in next week for another episode of the Cannabis Man Podcast. Bye-bye. Cannabis Man is an original production of myself, Don Kleppen. Original theme music by Yusu Kim, aka Goodson. Other music by Pat Perez, and logo designed by Vorbroker Media. If you like the show, please rate, review, subscribe, and share whenever you can.